crew, I'm Belinda Risley and welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast, the show designed for motorsport athletes, parents and support teams who want to accelerate their careers both on and off the track. Whether you're struggling to secure a sponsorship, grow your social media or understand the business side of racing, because yes, motorsport is a business, this podcast is here to help. Each episode, I'll share practical tips, advice and insights, often joined by industry experts, motorsport athletes who share their real-world experiences. So if you're ready to take your motorsport career to the next level, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello, crew, and welcome to another episode of the Motorsport Coaching Podcast. Join me today for a thrilling deep dive into the journey of Tom Sargent, an inspiring young race car driver who has made waves in the international motorsport scene. In today's episode, I sit down with Tom to explore his incredible career path, which saw him started racing at the tender age of 7 and rise to the ranks of karting, Formula Ford, and into the steam Porsche Carrera Cup series. Tom's journey is one that captures the essence of dedication, perseverance, and talent. With his move to America in 2023, marking a significant turning point as he takes on the challenge of the GT World Challenge and the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship Series. Throughout this episode, you will gain insights into the mental and physical demands of being a professional race car driver, the unique challenges of securing his sponsorship in the world of motorsport, and Tom's passion to continue racing new heights on the racetrack. Team, join us for an inspiring conversation about the world of motorsports, the support of fans, and the relentless pursuit of racing dreams. Let's get started with today's episode. Well, hello, Tom, and welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Belinda, for having me.
Not through the lack of trying.
That's very true. It's been a while, but I'm glad we can finally get onto this.
Yes, so we have known each other for a long time, hence my comment there. But for those who don't know you, can you tell us about your motorsport journey?
Yeah, it's a long one and a short one at the same time, sort of thing. I just turned 23 the other day. I started racing when I was 7. I started in karting, as most people do. I did karting for 9 or so years. Built my way up very slowly, sort of thing, to be honest. My first time on track, although when you're 7, you don't really remember much. I was told that I was pretty slow, like shouldn't have been out on a racetrack. Nonetheless, we did persevere at it. My brother and I both did karting for a similar time period. He was a little bit younger than me, so obviously started just a bit after me. But nonetheless, we still did karting together for 9 years or so, and then that's what stepped me into Formula Ford in the start of 2016, I believe. That was my transition into race cars and car racing, which started this whole journey we're now on, I suppose. This really kicked it into gear. And I did Formula Ford for 4 years there. Unfortunately, that was kind of the COVID period, so it did affect it a little bit. We had those year and a half kind of interrupted there. From then onwards, we won state championships there, national championships. We had a really successful run there. That would lead us into 2022, which made my step into Porsche Sprint Challenge in Australia. That was a big step up out of Formula Ford, a really big thing. We were fortunate enough to win the championship there, and then that put me in touch with the teams to make this happen, to move to America in 2023. So I moved to America in 2023 to race in the Porsche Carrera Cup series. Had a really successful debut there. We finished second in the series. Every track was new, everything was new to us, so we were extremely excited with that. 2024 saw me move into GT3 racing, where I raced in the GT World Challenge Series in a Pro-Am entry. Tough year, to say the least, for sure. And then that put me where I am this year, 2025, where I'm doing the same again in GT World Challenge and also racing in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship Series over here, which is an extremely big thing, to say the least.
It is an amazing career. You must be very proud.
I am very, very, very proud. It's still a pinch me moment, to say for sure. Every day you wake up and you're like, wow. And then especially when you're out on track, you're like, is this actually real? Like, it's not a dream, that's for sure.
So tell us a little bit about the GT World Cup for those who may not know about the series.
Yeah, it's GT World Challenge is is a worldwide series. They race in Asia, Australia, Europe, America. Very, very big series. In the US, not as big. Probably only got somewhere between 15 and 20 cars. But it was a stepping stone for me to get to where I am now. It's like I mentioned, it's a worldwide series, so it's the same formula as they run in Australia to what they run in Europe and here. So that's really a good platform to get into because it just gives you so much opportunity to expand into the rest of the world, being the same series, same formula, same people that run it. It's great. So that involves a 7-round series. On those weekends, you will have a qualifying. You'll have 2 sprint. They call them endurance races, but for this purpose, we'll call them sprint races. They're 2 90-minute races, which we share with 2 drivers, myself and my co-driver, Carl Washington. We run in the Pro-Am category together, me being a pro, him being the amateur in this scenario. So we have 7 rounds of this. 6 rounds is that formula. And then we have the final round, which is the Indianapolis 8-hour, which is an 8-hour endurance round at the end of the year, held at the amazing Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where we bring in a 3rd driver for that one. But nonetheless, it's still, as the title suggests, it's an 8-hour endurance event around there. So it's a really cool calendar. We get to race at some of the best tracks across North America and compete against some of the best GT drivers in the world.
Yeah. I'm still like going, it's still like a pinch me, like even like listening to into it.
Yeah, trust me, it is for me too. And I think it is definitely for my whole family and everyone that's been involved in getting me here. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I have to say from my perspective that a lot of the more up and coming drivers are wanting to go across to not only America, but also interested in GT racing. Why do you think, the direction has changed with a lot of the athletes? Like what's that draw card going to GT?
It's a very good question, and a question I get asked quite a lot actually, because as you mentioned, in the recent years, it's become quite a popular transition. Definitely, US has increased since I've come here. We've definitely seen a lot more people doing this. Europe's always kind of had a few Australians progress there, obviously chasing the Formula route mainly, the Formula One goal. So that's getting bigger for sure. But it's an interesting question. I think racing in the worldwide is getting bigger as a whole. I think the Drive to Survive series that the Formula One did on Netflix really actually increased the popularity of racing. And although what we don't do although that series has nothing to do with our driving, we do sports car stuff. It's definitely had an impact on our level for sure. We have the fan base and the audience is huge. It's just grown exponentially since that. So that means that there's a lot more demand for it, and there's just a lot of opportunity in the world for sure. The world is such a big place, and what we do in Australia, although we have quite a big country, we have quite a small population, and that ultimately is kind of, I think, the deciding factor for it. What we do in Australia is extremely impressive for sure. All I ever get talked about over here is everyone asks me about our supercar series. It's one of the most famous racing series in the world. Everyone thinks it's amazing. They love watching it because of the action, because of how it is. The cars are obviously great. It's a really popular series. So people have a lot of respect for supercar drivers, and it's definitely well known. But it's kind of it's our top category for Australia, but it's also kind of our only professional category in a way that's there to be achieved when it comes to circuit racing stuff, of course. So that means that there's just limited opportunity for people to get there. There's 25 drivers, let's say, 20 drivers that get to do that. Where you come over here to the US, we have IMSA and GT World Challenge, which is just endurance racing and just sports car stuff. We have like a couple of hundred drivers that can do this. You have NASCAR on top of that. You have IndyCar. You've got that many forms of higher level professional racing that is available. I just feel like the opportunity is just a little bit greater over here. And that's kind of led me into why I'm here at the moment. I definitely wanted to be a supercar driver growing up, but my goal shifted. When I got behind the wheel of the Porsche, my goal shifted a little bit to being where I still wanted to be a supercar driver for sure, but your perspective shifts onto where you can achieve something and what's achievable. Supercars is extremely hard to achieve. Not impossible at all, because obviously it gets done. But I just felt for what I wanted to do, and I've always had a fascination with endurance racing. to be able to come over here and do that was kind of the goal for me, and how I've ended up here.
Awesome. And can you tell us a little about IMSA? What is that for?
IMSA it's America's top sports car GT3. Well, not even GT3, sports car racing. And to be honest, it equals WEC, World Endurance Championship in Europe, as they're kind of the two biggest sports car endurance series in the world, without a doubt. IMSA it's quite funny actually. The class I race in IMSA is called GTD, which works off the GT3 platform, GT3 cars, and that's actually the bottom class. So it's quite funny when you think of a GT3 car being the slowest car around the track, but we're actually out there with prototype cars, which is we have the LMP2 cars and hypercar GTP cars is what's out there on track with us. And they make us look extremely slow, which is scary when you put into context how fast a GT3 car is. We are the slow car, the lap traffic, for sure. So those guys are, they're 15, 20 seconds a lap quicker than us around the circuits. They are so fast, but nonetheless, we have it's a huge field. When you combine these three classes, we have GTD also has a separate class in itself. It has GTD Pro and GTD. As the name suggests, one class is for all pro drivers. The other class is for an amateur driver and the rest pro drivers. So we have 4 classes in total, and that equals to anywhere up to 70 cars in the race. Most of the time, we're well into the 50s, getting close to 60 cars. It just all depends on track density, really, how much we can hold. There is a lot of cars. So that makes it a very popular series for people to watch. And it's based here in North America. It's a North America only series. And it's a little bit detached to the rest of the world in the way they kind of do things. It's a little bit different. But basically, it's a kind of depends what class you're in. It's about a 13, 14 round series, 14 races. 5 of those races being endurance races, which is what I'm doing this year. I'm the endurance driver, where you'll do a 24-hour race, you'll do a 12-hour, you'll do a 10-hour, you'll do an 8-hour and a 6-hour, or 2 6-hours, my bad, sorry, 2 6 hours. So along with then you have your sprint weekend, which is 1 2 to 3 hour race, is the other rounds, the endurance rounds. So it's North America's most popular sports car series, and like I said, rivals the World Endurance Championship in Europe. So it's a huge series, and it's been my goal to do in the past few years, and I've always watched it growing up. Didn't really think it was achievable, but it was to be here now and be actually just completed my first race at Daytona for the 24-hour a couple of weeks ago, and that was a pinch me moment for sure. That was an incredible experience to actually have my debut in IMSA, to do a 24-hour and be out on track with all these people that I grew up watching. It's a mind-blowing experience.
Such big fields. It must be amazing.
Yeah, it is. The fields are huge. We're like, every corner, there's just a car passing you. I'm like, during the 24-hour race, we do an hour stint. We might do a double or a triple. So we're in the car 2-3 hours at a time. I'm just like, can I please just have one lap, even one corner where I just don't have someone passing me for 1 second, especially those cars there have the headlights on them are so bright. They're constantly flashing you. Like the end of it, you've got like a headache. You're like, leave me alone. Like I'm doing my best to stay out of the way, but that's part of the game. It's a survival, because it's a race within a race. You know, we're racing for our benefit and to win, and those guys are also racing for theirs as well. So it creates a lot of carnage, and maybe that's the reason why a lot of people like it. I don't know, but nonetheless, it's a hugely well followed series in the US.
And what are some of the other biggest challenges you've faced in these championships? Being an Aussie one, or lack of experience, or
to be honest, the Australian one actually helps you. As I mentioned earlier, everyone loves supercars. Everyone loves V8 supercars. So people have a very high level of respect for Australian drivers, and so they should. What we produce out of Australia for how small our population is amazing. We produce some of the highest level quality drivers for per capita than most countries. Like us in New Zealand, and people love us too. I don't know if it's just our personality, how we speak. Everyone loves the accent as well, but nonetheless, they love us, and that was actually one of the biggest helps for me over here, to be honest, and get me to where I got to was actually being Australian. The hardest thing really is it's the lack of experience. It's people want people that have been proven and have results. So that's what I found. The level I'm at the moment, people want to see you've done it before and they want to see you've done it well. And that's tough because how am I supposed to show I can do it well if I don't get a chance, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the catch-22 you kind of always have here. It's kind of what comes first, really. Like they want me to be good and have experience, but no one's going to give me the chance to have that. And that's where it comes down to you as a driver being able to make that arrangement, whether or not that's bringing the money to it, bringing the connections, whatever you have to do to actually get yourself in the door. That's the biggest challenge. Once you're in the door, I find that it kind of starts to flow a little bit easier. It's just getting there. And that was the biggest problem I had, was getting to GT3 racing. And that's why I had to take this step in GT World Challenge first, because I needed to get proof. I needed to prove that I could do GT3 stuff and these guys can trust me. And it's a big thing when you're spending a lot of money to go to, just take the 24-hour race, for example. The money that's invested in just doing a 24-hour race is just mind-blowing. And it's a lot of risk and a lot of liability to put a 20-year-old kid, 23-year-old kid in behind a wheel of that thing and expect it to still be there in 2 or 3 hours when you've got all this other stuff there, let alone 24 hours come the end of the race. So getting established, getting well known is tough, but yeah, just getting that start is the toughest part. And that's the crucial part. Once you can get some runs on the board, it's a really big help.
Yeah, and so you're just talking there about mindset. Tell us a little bit about how do you work with your mindset, or how do you deal with those challenges, I guess? And the fact that you're saying so young, you're in 23, you've been living in the US by yourself as well. And is this the first time you've been living by yourself?
It's mindset is way more involved in the racing than people give it credit for, I believe. I believe so much of what we do is based on our brain, how we think, sort of thing. So a lot of people say, race car drivers have an easy life, sort of thing. There's not much to it. You just get in the car, you drive, you go home, you play golf through the week. It's simple. And it's not really. People that are in the know how hard it is and why there's only a couple of thousand people in the whole world that get to compete professionally in forms of motorsport. And that's not many people. So it's so tough to be able to convince yourself that you can do it. And that's the biggest thing. You need to have faith that you can do it. There's a couple of things. You need to first want it. You need to want it bad. You need to want it more than the next person. You need to be able to have the trust and the faith in yourself that you can achieve it. And it's so much what you do outside of the car influences what you do inside the car. Like if you can't think you can do it, then you get in the car. It doesn't matter how talented you are. You can't do it. You need to be able to have faith that I can go out there and do that. And I had to overcome that at the Daytona 24-hour for sure. It was my first time on the big stage. I've just reached my goal in life. This is where I want to be, and this is my chance. And my first race in the series is a 24-hour race. Never done a 24-hour race in my life. Only ever done an 8-hour. And to get in that, I'm thinking, can I do this? Is this what I'm cut out for? It's a big question. It's a lot to ask. And I was so nervous, as you could imagine. It's a big lead up to the Daytona 24-hour. You've got a week leading up of testing, qualifying, getting it all ready for the event. So there's a lot of time to think about it, a lot of time to get gelled, which is nice, but it's still a big lead up for it. So you're there thinking the whole time, is this what I'm here for? Is this going to be what I think it's going to be? Am I going to do well? Are these guys that put all this trust in me, are they going to regret this? So being able to overcome that and just tell yourself, yeah, I can do this. I'm here for a reason. I've been working at this since I was 7. Although when I was 7, I didn't know this is what this is for. You still have been working at it for a long time, and I deserve to be here. So it's having faith in yourself and just having faith that you can achieve it is tough. And that's compounded when as you mentioned, I've moved over here and started 2023. I was 21 at the time. It's a big thing moving out of home, let alone moving to a country that's 15,000, 18,000 kilometers away, the other side of the world. It's just another thing on top of that. But I found it relatively easy in a way. There's tricks I worked out to try and help you along with that, keeping yourself busy is the biggest one. If you're not busy, then the more you think about it, the more you start snowballing out of control, right? So I definitely fill my day up with a lot of things and keeps that, out of your mind sort of thing. But it's a lot easier for me now, right? I'm going into my third year of being over here by myself. It's a lot easier. You meet friends, you meet people, you just start to build a social life. It's no different to being back home. But for sure, when you move over here, you look around and you're like, not only am I by myself, I don't know anyone within 15,000 kilometers of me. I can call my parents for sure, but if something went wrong, they're days away from even getting here, let alone, they can't help you now, right? You grow up your whole life, you rely on your parents at least, and because you have to. When you're growing up, you rely on them, you rely on your support group to help you, and now that's all gone. So it's on you now to build your own support group and do that yourself, and that's a big thing. So, like I said, it's the mental side of it is really underappreciated a lot of time, and how much goes into that, as well as driving fast on the track.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about what training you do, a little bit. But what, after your 14 years, Tom, what would you say is the most memorable race or the moment in your career so far? Is Daytona? Is that the thing?
To be honest, up until Daytona, I would have said something else probably. Yeah, I would have been. I won a lot of championships. Man, I had a good time along the way. I had a lot of fun. But living out your dream, being able to do that, was definitely the most memorable thing. My first stint wasn't until the daylight. My first stint might have been 6 or 7 hours after the green flag. So I'm there. Not only do I have to wait all week for the race to start, I then had to sit there for 6 or so hours while the race went on before they even put me in the car. So I'm there. It's pitch black dark. Sorry.
What do you do for those hours? Like you said,
to be honest, you switch off. You try not to watch the race. You just kind of sit there, chill, relax, because otherwise you start snowballing out of control, right? And that's the best part. I had some pro drivers there to help me, guys that have done this for years. So they're there to help you and guide you. But still, it's a big thing. You're sitting there, and my first stint was in the dark, and I was like, it was a lot to deal with the first time for sure. So it's a really cool thing, to say the least.
Yeah, and like you mentioned previously, also just in the back of your head going, don't crash, don't crash, don't crash. One, not only the cost factor, but two, trying to build your brand over there as well.
For sure, it's a big thing. Not only you're fast, right, and that's one thing, but being reliable is tough. And there's the financial cost of what happens if I do crash this thing, and then there's also like, what is this going to hurt me if I crash? Not physically, but like, is this going to hurt my career? For sure.
Yes.
And that's, to me, that's the biggest thing. It's just, is this going to be, if I crash this thing, is this going to be the end of it? And people crash all the time. It's just part of it. But when you're so young in your career, you can't afford to do that at the moment. You need to prove that you're reliable, fast, and can do what you're told on command.
Yeah, I mean, like there's so many examples you'd say, like in F1, that the drivers have lost their drives because of the crash rate. Sure. We know in Supercars as well. So yeah, crashing does, and that comes down to the mental side of things. Exactly what you're saying about that want, that resilience, that focus that they have in the car. And yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do that for 6-7 hours. I would have been like spinning out of control. So.
Yeah, I was like, put me in, guys. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, but put me in and let me drive.
Give me some laps and I can breathe. Now, Tom, we're going to hit these big questions around sponsorship because, people will be asking that question. We know it's not just about racing. How have you gone about securing sponsorship overseas? Have you got international sponsors? Have you got US-based sponsors? A bit of both. And yeah, is the sponsorship journey different over in America as it is in Australia?
That's the best thing to start with, for sure. Sponsorship is night and day different to Australia. It's uncomparable. My first year in Carrera Cup, I had to come over here. I had to obviously produce a car to start with, a cup car. I then had to produce the funds to go racing. And unfortunately, due to the exchange rate of the Australian dollar to the US dollar, that hurts a lot. That's not good. Every dollar I put up, you get like 60 cents US. So unfortunately, the dollar at the moment, with the way that is, that makes arriving to the US and getting started extremely challenging. So that's a big thing, and that comes down to finding US currency. That's the biggest one for over here. You need to find US currency.
Mm-hmm.
My first year of Carrera Cup, I couldn't find any to start the year before I started. It's tough because I came over here in February. The first race was March. So I had 1 month to find money to go racing, along with getting set up over here, getting your life together, trying to find money. And that's why I couldn't achieve that before I went racing. So I was fortunate enough to be able to start the year off. And then I did first 2 rounds, and then the third round was the Miami Grand Prix. And that's when I was able to find some money just before that round. It came on as Rafa Racing Club, came on as my number one sponsor. And that was just a round thing, just for the 1 round, Miami Grand Prix, all the hype, Formula One, was able to have them on board to help me. They really enjoyed it. We had a successful result, which helped, but they enjoyed the experience. And then they went on to help sponsor me through the rest of the year. Unfortunately, I didn't meet. They obviously didn't cover the whole bill because the bill's quite big. So I was very fortunate to have some backing from back home as well, help. But like I mentioned, at the exchange rate that's a very hard thing to do. So that's the biggest thing was in my first year. I was then planning on doing another year of Carrera Cup in 2024. I had to produce the same amount of money again. It was good. I had some runs on the board. I had met some people. And meanwhile, throughout the whole 2023, I was also trying to find more money as well. Had a lot of talks. Never really came to anything. But it came to the end of 2023. It's time to produce results for 2024. The backing from back home had run out. It was either I had to make the full amount or I was going back home. So it was pretty cutthroat. And I actually met the guy named Kyle Washington at one of my rounds in Carrera Cup. I was in pro class. He was in the pro am class. So I was racing against him, if you kind of say that. His team manager, team manager knew my engineer and was like, "Hey guys, we're struggling. Would you guys mind giving me some help?" And I said, "Sure." We're not really competing against each other, although we're in the same race, we're not competing. I was like, "For sure, I'm happy to help you." So I went around to him, met Kyle, gave him a little bit of help. I was able to get him a little bit quicker. And then he was willing to cover that and help, reimburse me for my time there and help. And we said no. I was like, "Mate, I spent 5 minutes with you." I was like, "Don't worry about it." I said, "Maybe next year," I was like, "I want to do Carrera Cup again next year. Maybe next year we can work out some type of coaching thing. I can race. I can help coach you. We can maybe work out something there." And that kind of died, really. It kind of fell down. And it came to the end of the year. I was like, okay, well, it's time to put everything in action and make this happen for 2024. And I was like, oh, well, I know this Kyle guy. I was like, I'll get in contact with him. Maybe he can help me produce some money to get here. And I started chatting with him, and we're going to make a deal maybe where we could do some coaching stuff, and he was going to help fund some of the racing. Unfortunately, some other sponsors I had lined up to make the rest of the bill fell through. And I was in a position now where I just couldn't make that money to go racing in 2024. So I had an idea where I was going to try and rework a program where I was going to actually drop Carrera Cup and not do it. And I was going to propose that to Kyle that, hey, we could go run GT World Challenge together. He was already doing the multiple classes. He was doing Carrera Cup. He was doing GT World Challenge. He kind of raced everything. I was like, hey, is there any chance maybe we can race this together? And he was like, I never really thought about that. And he's like, would you do Carrera Cup? And I was like, I can't. I don't have the money to do that. So therefore, no, I just focus on racing GT World Challenge with you. I was like, I can coach you on the side in all your other series. I was like, we'll get you good. I'll go racing. And we were able to strike up a deal with that. So for the whole of 2024, I ran with Kyle in the GT World Challenge series. He was my amateur as I ran. We shared cars together. And I coached him in every other series he ran in. So he ran in 4 series for the total of the year. He ran in Carrera Cup, he ran GT World Challenge, GT America, and Porsche Sprint Challenge. Not to mention, he also races the trophy trucks, like the Baja stuff on dirt. I had nothing to do with that, but he likes driving, as you can understand from this. So he was the breakthrough in my career, and he turned my career around where I was in a world of trouble and going home to now a point where I can go racing and I can I can stay here in America and achieve this. So I owe him a lot. He was definitely the turning point. And that then leads me back to what I said at the start about how sponsorship's very, very different in the US. In Australia, it's very hard to get sponsorship. It's hard to get sponsorship here too, but the sponsorship here is different.
Mm-hmm.
US is probably where the only country in the world where majority of people go racing because they find a amateur driver and then they compare with them, and the amateur driver goes racing and the pro driver then goes racing with him, and the amateur driver kind of covers that and makes that available for the pro driver to come race. And that's how that works in America. That's how a lot of people go racing, is because the money is there. Don't get me wrong, the sponsorship there is fine. It's hard to do. So a lot of people go racing with an amateur driver. They hook up with an amateur driver. They become relationship with them, friends and stuff, and then they go racing together. And that's what Kyle and I did now, and that's where I'm doing for this year as well. We're going to race again with Kyle. I'm going to coach him in his other series again. We race together in GT World Challenge, and everyone's happy because he's getting better. He's going racing. I'm going racing, and that's how the US works, and that's how a lot of the US works. So it's really important to be yourself, be who you are, because that's what these people want to see. And it doesn't matter even if you're back home in Australia, for all those people listening, sponsors want to see who you are. They don't want to see, they want to see a good image of you, don't get me wrong, but they also want to see yourself. They want to see your personality. And that's what I believe I attribute to me, where I am now, is by just being yourself. And because that's what people want to see. So sponsorship over here is definitely very different, just due to that, because of the sheer volume of people that are over here and the volume of money that there is. You can find people like Kyle and stuff like that who are able to help you go racing in return.
And like you say, you only need one, isn't it? You only need one sponsor, and you've got a great driver as well. So, like you said, it is a win-win situation. And so, have you got other sponsors on board, or do you just work off with him?
So I'm very fortunate in my case, always actively looking for sponsors for sure, because that's important. You never know where you're going to be next year. But I'm in a very fortunate situation where I can go racing with Kyle and I don't have to bring contribution to that, which is really nice. So that's kind of, to me, the deciding factor when you go to a professional driver. So I'm very fortunate situation there, and I had a similar situation with the IMSA drive as well, where they saw what I could do in World Challenge. I actually raced against the team. The team I run with in GT World Challenge and IMSA are two different teams. They actually compete against each other in World Challenge. So I actually competed against them last year, and that's where I met this IMSA team. And now I currently race for them in the IMSA series while racing with the other team in GT World Challenge. It's a little bit of a confusing thing, but nonetheless, it's kind of a tight niche there because there's not many Porsche teams in North America there. So you get to know them all, and that's how that connection came about towards the IMSA side.
Yeah, so I guess I'm hearing, again, it's still about networking as well.
It is hugely. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And like I mentioned, you just got to be yourself. That's what people want to see.
And so, Tom, what does a typical race week look for you, both on and off the track? Or what does a professional race car driver do during the day?
Very fortunately, there's now a lot of races this now in my calendar. I have a massive amount of racing, not only at race weekends that I'm racing at, but the weekends that I coach Kyle at as well. So in America, we seem to start race weekends very early. We're always on track either Wednesday or Thursday. So that means you're kind of flying Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You're flying very early in the week. You're on track Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday mainly. A lot of track time because there's a lot of classes, a lot of people to get through. So you're there for a long period of time. So you get there quite early. You obviously got to get there the day before, set up, track walk. A lot of stuff goes into pre-event to understand what needs to be achieved at this event, how it's all going to be run, how it's scheduled, and all that stuff. So we get there. As I mentioned, GT World Challenge we practice kind of Wednesday, Thursday. We then qualify on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Thursday, Friday, whatever it is. We then qualify on Saturday. We do one race Saturday, one race Sunday. And then IMSA, depending on what endurance event it is, we mostly start racing on Saturday because if it's a 24-hour race, obviously Saturday, Sunday, 12-hour, it's going to be all day Saturday. some of the shorter races, like the 6 hours, will be on Sunday. But nonetheless, you're there at the track for an extremely long period of time. And so you're in a hotel a long time, is what I'm saying. You're on the road, and most of the time I fly on a Tuesday mainly, get there, and you fly back on a Monday, then get home, do some washing, and then pretty much we're racing the next week. So with Kyle last year, we did something like 35 race events for the year, race weekends out of the year. So sometimes we were every weekend, every month we were at a track, and then we would also be at the track during the week on the Monday or Tuesday or something, testing at a different track as well. So that's only getting compounded again this year with an extra series. So my schedule's quite full when it comes to that. I then also have other stuff on the side I do as well with other work when I'm actually at home for a little bit of time. And then obviously training on top of that, which is another level of stuff. But it's extremely busy weekend and week, even if I'm not at the track.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Obviously, you're a motorsport athlete, a parent, or someone in a team looking to take your career to the next level. But have you checked out the Driver's Toolkit? It's the ultimate resource to help you get started with sponsorship, build your brand, and grow your social media. Plus, it covers motorsport-specific fitness, nutrition, and mindset strategies to keep you performing at your best. So if you're serious about making an impact on and off the track, this is for you. Head over to motivatetraining.com.au/toolkit to learn more and gain instant access. Now let's get back to the episode. Yeah, wow, that's so exciting. That you're living your dream, doing what you love every day. It's amazing. Now, you did mention just then about training. Tell us a bit about your physical training, your mental training for race weeks.
Yeah.
And so much racing as well.
When I was back home in Australia, I probably took the training side a little bit for granted. I probably didn't realize how much was actually involved and how important that is. It wasn't until I came to the US and I realized, hey, I'm over here. I'm doing what a lot of people only dream of doing. I need to take advantage of this. Like, you can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm here. I need to capitalize on this, because there's a lot of people that have put a lot on the line for me to be here. And I deserve to do a good job for not only them, but for myself as well. So that's what started my training program here. So I go to a drivers only gym here in North Carolina, because where I am is probably the home of motorsport for the world, let's say. It has one of the highest concentration of drivers of anywhere. Because anywhere from, it originally started as a NASCAR place. So we have most NASCAR drivers live here, a lot of IndyCar drivers, sports car drivers. You can even, that's just with the circuit stuff and doing tarmac stuff. You can go down the dirt side as well, which is just another level. But that brings in the ability to have a drivers only gym. And that's where I go. I go there about 2 to 3 hours every day, every morning, where it's a personal trainer. It's a one-on-one thing, where we work, we do. And that's kind of opened my eyes to another level of training as well, which we'll get to. But like I mentioned, we train a lot every day, Mondays to Fridays, Saturday, Sundays, we don't. But nonetheless, we do that 2 to 3 hours every day, Monday to Friday. That's where I made a lot of connections, actually, which was good. But what this place did, this is called Pit Fit. They have a facility here in Charlotte. They have a facility in Indianapolis. They focus a lot on the physical side of it. The coaches are ex-racers themselves, so they understand what goes into what's needed to be a driver. But we work a lot on the cognitive side, the brain side, making sure the brain's on point with what you need to do. Because if you think about it, you're asking the brain to do a lot at 300 kilometers an hour. You're asking the brain to process a lot of information. So we work extremely hard on that. And then, not to mention, you're asking the brain to do that. You're asking the brain to do that after 24 hours of not sleeping either at a 24-hour race. So you're asking a lot. And that's such an important part. And that's a part that I didn't realize was so important, was the brain side of it as well. And that opened my eyes to how important that is to be on top of that. And that's what these guys are so good at as well. So we work extremely hard on the physical side of it, because especially in the GT3 cars we're currently driving, extremely high aero cars. So the G-forces are very high, and we're doing it for a long period of time. So it's a skill in itself to be able to do that. And it's something that's quite niche to a lot of races in the world. Like, look at Formula One, the pinnacle of motorsport in the world. They race for like 90 minutes sort of thing, where we're doing 24-hour stuff. So it's definitely different, and it's definitely a niche avenue that we're in. And that's why training is so important. It doesn't matter. Training's important, doesn't matter what you're doing, but obviously you need to refine it for your for your purpose.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I might have some more news coming soon around about my relationship with PitFit too.
Oh, really? Oh, that's exciting.
Hence my droop. Choking. But sorry, they're fantastic. It's a great organization. And
Yes.
I've had Trey on the podcast before, and he's going to be coming back onto the podcast as well. So Trey was one of my first.
Really?
Yeah, Trey. Yeah, I know Trey. And he was one of my first guests, like about 5 years ago, and we stayed in touch. And he's booked in. He's going to come up.
No way. That's cool. I obviously I was just saw him this morning. I was just training there this morning. I told him I was going on a podcast. I never said which podcast because I was like, you probably wouldn't know an Australian podcast. But that's really cool. Come Monday, I'm gonna I'll have a chat with him about that. That's awesome. Small world.
Instagram buddies. We have been for years. I don't know.
That's
I think
awesome.
before he started out PitFit, like he had his own.
Yes.
So back then, we go way back, Trey and I.
That's really awesome. Oh well, that's going to be a talking point come Monday's session.
Exactly. Now you've already talked about the differences with sponsorship and the different of the challenges. What's one of the biggest lessons you've learned from working in a professional racing environment?
With me moving over here to the US was you get to meet a lot of new people, as you can imagine. The whole paddock's unfamiliar to you. You obviously, it's weird. You walk around Australia and you know every person, like whether or not they're working on a team or a fan, you get to meet people and you get to recognize faces, right? You come over here and you walk around and you don't know anyone. You might as well be on another planet. You do not know. Yes, you know the drivers and because you look up to them, but ultimately the people that walk around the paddock, you don't see any familiar faces. It's a really weird thing. And with that, I've ended up meeting a lot of new people, a lot of very, very professional people, a lot of people that are extremely high up in this world of racing. And I also train with a lot of them too. I train with some of the best IndyCar drivers, NASCAR drivers, sports car drivers in the world. They all go to this PitFit gym. So I get to meet a lot of extremely good people in their area, not only drivers, but engineers, team managers, all those type of people as well. So I get to a lot of good advice from stuff like that, and I get to learn a lot. Ultimately, I learn a lot of things, and one thing that really sticks out for me is, especially coming from a driver's point of view, is you've got to want it, and you've got to want it more than the next person. I mentioned that earlier, and it is quite important. You need to drive, and passion is what fuels a lot, for sure. And that doesn't just come on the track sort of thing. Sponsors see that. Sponsors are in the position to give you money because they've been successful. So they know how to read people. They know how to understand. They had a drive and passion themselves. So they want to see that reflected in someone like you, a young person that's trying to work their way. They want to see that. So that's why it's really important to show that, hey, I want to be here and I deserve to be here for a reason. And you can be. So it's really important to just, you need to want it. You want it more than the next person. You want to be able to work on it harder, do whatever it takes to beat that, to be there and show that you deserve that. I found that's what really people like sponsors as well want to see. They want to see that drive and passion to get to the top and be the best.
And what about the fans? Are they crazy? Tell us about the fans.
Yeah.
What activations do you do? Like they different type of activations?
It's
religion,
the US. It is.
Like what you're saying, you live. It's like a religion there.
It is. You don't go to church. You go to the track to pray here.
Yeah.
The US is so driven off fans for sure. The Indianapolis 500 is one of the biggest single-handed sporting event in the world. They have the Australian Grand Prix gets 400,000 people over 4 days. Indy 500 has 400,000 people on one day. You have the biggest sporting event in the world. You have a lot of fans. So that's how the US works. That's how these series are so driven, because the amount of people that are there is mind-blowing. Obviously, when the Formula One events come, that's cool. You get a few 100,000 people. But the fans are next level. I'm competing at Sebring 12-hour very soon. That's the next round. And that's That reminds me of Bathurst in a way. The fans are out in the middle, out of control. there's alcohol going everywhere. There's cars on fire. There's just absolute chaos. They are so passionate about it. They love it. It kind of reminds me of the Bathurst 1000 in a way when you go up to like the top of the mountain. It's like that, but on steroids. They are so passionate, and they root for. They don't exactly root. Some people root for manufacturers, but they root for numbers. They love your numbers. Like they'll be like, okay, in our case, number 32 or 120. They'll be like, that's my number, and they're the guys I'm going to root for. And they're obsessed with one team, one car. That's what they go for, and they're so passionate. Like the Daytona 24-hour, it's sponsored by Rolex, and the whole idea is you don't win a trophy, you win a Rolex watch. That's the purpose of it. We had fans come up to us before the race who had made us Rolexes out of paper, cardboard, string, and giving it to us all. Like they've drawn Rolexes, like absolutely incredible. And they're giving that to us, and they're being like, this is in case, it doesn't work out for you guys and stuff like that. Like the amount of dedication these people have, they'll produce photos. Like I had this guy come up to me, wanted photos signed. He had photos of me back in Formula Ford, back in like 2016 or something. And this guy lives in Germany. Yep. He's like, I just came from Weissach in Germany. And I'm like, how do you have my photos of like high quality photos that I don't even think I posted? Like, how do you have, and they're the type of people you're working with, the type of fans that there are. They're so passionate and so dedicated to the track. They come out so early. They're there before we are, and they're there after we leave. So the fans are next level, and it's a unique experience seeing them. That's for sure. But and without them, the sport doesn't happen. So,
of course, we love our fans. And do you do driver signing? Like the lines must be
yes.
Long. Like,
oh my god, the driver signing. We sign for at least an hour at a time, and we don't get through half the people. You just sign. So many people, so many amazing fans, and everyone is so grateful. They're so grateful for your time. Everyone is so polite, so pleasant, and they're all like, "We can't believe you've even come out here for us." And we're like, hey, it's what we're here for. Like, we enjoy it just as much as you guys do, right? So it's a unique experience. And I never got to experience a massive amount of that in Australia because racing Sprint Challenge and Formula Ford, obviously, it's not as well followed, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But from my understanding is, the fans over here are definitely on another level.
Well, that's great. It must be like overwhelming though. Like
it is the first my Daytona 24-hour, I'm like, what is going on here? You get people coming around dressed up crazy, trying to do interviews, and you're like, where's this video going? Like, it's impressive. The amount of people that just post about you, tag you and things, it's a lot. It's very surreal, to say the least.
Well, we haven't touched on social media. Do you do your own social media now? Like you're part of a team? Do you have a social media manager, content manager? How do you go with your content creation? Obviously, you're still trying to build your brand. Is that part of your marketing plan, building your brand?
I've always done my social media. Ever since I started, I was never big on it, and I was never very good on it either. To be honest, I could still consider myself terrible at social media. I try and do my own stuff, and it's tough because I'm kind of okay with being on social media looking at stuff, but when it comes to posting, I have no idea what's good. I have no idea what people want to see. I don't understand all the finite details of that side of it. I have a general gist, and to be honest, I do it because I have a lot of people that obviously want to see it and keep updated with it, and that's important. Social media is really important for a couple of reasons. One is you've got your fans that want to keep up with what you're doing, seeing what's happening in your life. These are important people that really love what you do. And there's also the side of it of promotion. And as you mentioned, building your brand and building who you are. And this kind of ties into everything, I think, a little bit, is building who you are and building your person sort of thing. You can be whoever you want. Like, the world's your kind of oyster. So it's kind of picking who you want to be and how you want to represent yourself is important. And as I mentioned, it's about being, kind of being yourself, just being free flowing, being professional, but also showing a little bit of your personality side of it. Like you look at people like Chaz Mostert's a great one, for example. That guy is just out of control, right? He's just everyone loves him for that reason. And that's part of it. So people want to see that side of it. People don't want to just see a mundane military person every yes, race was good, car was fast, sort of thing. They want to see a little bit of emotion go into it. They want to, if they're following your life and your journey, it's almost like a reality TV show in a way. They're following your life. They want to see your emotions, your feelings. So if it doesn't go well, yeah, you don't want to just be all down about it, but they also want to see and understand that, yeah, that hurt that didn't go well. So social media is really important for people like that following your journey, but then also just, yeah, for your sponsors to be able to see that, not sponsors, but like just, prospective people, stuff like that. They want to, yeah, it's a good way for them to look at who you are in a glimpse. They can see a lot by just opening up your Instagram or Facebook page and just having a quick scroll. They can see a lot about you.
Oh, did you have a TikTok account that got banned?
I have TikTok. I never post anything on it. And when it went away, I was like, this actually just happened. And then it came back like 2 days later. So I'm like, oh, it's a little bit confusing there. The whole politic things that's going on there. Their politics are just, I don't understand our politics very well, but these guys, I don't know. They've got something else going on over here. But so that's very spoken about. But yes, TikTok did come back for me after 2 days.
I was like, oh, because it obviously didn't us over here. We just heard all about it. So
correct. Everyone was talking about. They're like, damn, I'm gonna have to go to Australia now and live so I can watch TikTok. And I'm like, trust me, it's not that worth it. Yeah.
That's right. I was like, well, how about you just get off it? Like,
yeah. Correct. It's better for your health, the fact that you don't actually have it.
For me, I'm sure a lot of people are like going, yes, it's one less thing we've got to worry about.
Yeah, right. But it's back now.
Now, Tom, what are your main goals for the next few years, few seasons? Now that you're there, what's the ultimate goal? Any specific?
I haven't considered myself as made it. Like, I am where I want to be, and I'm where my end goal is. Like, I wanted to be racing in IMSA, and I want to do that. So yes, I'm here, but I don't consider that to be like the end sort of thing, because obviously I'm on a year-by-year basis here. I could be racing here this year, and then next year I could be back home in Australia if things don't go to plan. So I'm still always pushing to try and stay here, and I have to, for sure. And that's an important part of it. So like I just mentioned, I am where I want to be, and for sure I want to stay here. I want to be racing. I briefed on it earlier about IMSA and the multiple levels of IMSA racing. So eventually I want to be at the top there. I want to be racing the hypercars, the GTP stuff, following exactly what Matt Campbell did. He started in IMSA and GTD here. He won an IMSA GTD championship, and now he's factory driver for Porsche, Penske in the hypercar program there. And that's exactly where I want to be, for sure. So in saying that, I absolutely love where I am at the moment, racing GT3s. GT3 racing is just phenomenal, for sure. But that's where I'd hopefully want to see myself in a couple of years. But I also know that's a long way away still. You have to earn your stripes, build up to it. You don't want to skip the steps and jump in too early. So it's important to do that. But hopefully in the next few years, you'll see me there one day.
Fantastic. Well, I'll be back on the podcast soon.
Let's hope.
That's right. If you could race in any event or series in the world, what would it be and why? Would that be the Bathurst?
The world's your oyster. I know. Wow. It probably is the Bathurst 1000. It's being Australian. It's kind of, it's a requirement. It's Bible. You have to race in the Bathurst 1000. You sort of thing. You got to come back and do that at least once. So for sure, like up until this year, I would have said probably the Daytona 24-hour. Now I've done that. Now it's shifted. Yeah, tick that one off. I want to go race here. I want to go co-drive the Bathurst 1000 is fine. Like I don't need to full-time start in supercars. I'd love to for sure, but I really enjoy where I'm at the moment, and to be able to do a one-off Bathurst 1000 start would be really cool. That'd be a great addition to the resume.
Did the Americans have the same love and pride of the Bathurst 1000 and as we do? Like, do they have that understanding of the pinnacle?
They do for sure. They have each series, I suppose you would say, has its own Bathurst 1000 for sure. Like IndyCar has the Indy 500, NASCAR has the Daytona 500, IMSA has the Daytona 24-hour, just like Supercars has the Bathurst 1000. So they have a lot of respect for that. Everyone knows Supercars, as I mentioned, and everyone knows Bathurst.
Okay.
Everyone knows Bathurst. They're like, have you driven Bathurst? I'm like, a couple of times actually. And they're like, oh my God, man, like they bow down towards you. They're like, that is mind blowing. I'm like, yeah, trust me, it's cool. You should see it in person if you think it looks cool on TV. But they have a whole lot of level of respect for supercar drivers, the Bathurst 1000. And if you gave, I think at the Daytona 24 Hour, there's about 300 drivers in the race. If you gave any one of them the opportunity to do it, they would do it at the drop of a hat. Like, it is not just them, it is a worldwide want for a lot of people to do it. It is as far as races go, single races in the world, it's one of the highest for sure.
Wow. And do they watch it like we kind of embrace the Super Bowl Monday thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do they watch the Bathurst 1000? Like, do you also?
Well, I think so. I was just watching the Super Bowl for the halftime show. I think that's probably why most people watch it. But they they for sure do. The time zone makes life pretty hard, that wise. But they do for sure. They, even after the Bathurst 12 Hour a couple of weeks ago or last week or whatever it was, everyone's like, "Did you watch it?" I'm like, "Of course I watched it." Like, even though I was at like 3 a.m. and I'm like, I want to go to sleep, I was watching it because it's an event I want to compete in, actually, the 12 Hour, really badly. But they definitely watch the 1000. They love the racing. They love the carnage mainly. For some reason, I don't know if it's a worldwide thing, but the US fans are obsessed with crashes. They just want to see crashes. So that's like the whole purpose of NASCAR, I think, is just to crash. So they love the Bathurst 1000. They love the track. They love the drivers. I think they love our personality of our drivers as well. Like, people are like, "Oh my God, you know that Chaz guy?" And I'm like, yeah. He's pretty cool. Like,
and he's got a American type name too, doesn't he?
Correct. So they definitely follow our events, whether it's the Bathurst 1000, the Bathurst 12 Hour, those type of things. To be honest, even at the gym, we've often got supercars up on the screen watching it because it's good racing.
Okay. Well, we kick you off soon for the 25 series, which would be very exciting. Have you got anything exciting coming up? Any exciting races? Any exciting news before we wrap?
Yes, I have as I mentioned earlier, I have the Sebring 12 Hour coming up very soon with the IMSA side of it. So that's going to be cool. That was up there for one of my events that I really want to do bad. That event's in the dark, and you're in the middle of Florida, in the middle of nowhere. So there is zero ambient light, zero lighting, artificial lighting. So it is proper dark. So that was cool. But I actually have a really cool announcement where Porsche announcing me as the 2025 Porsche selected driver for North America. So that is a big tick of confidence, I would say, that Porsche have brought me on as that. I've been working pretty hard at that for the past few years over here in North America to achieve that. And for me to get the call the other week about that is very exciting.
Yes, congrats. Very exciting. But what does that mean?
So basically what that is, it is as I mentioned, it's selected driver in North America. So you're not technically a Porsche factory driver at this stage. You're kind of a little bit under that. So it's a stepping stone, I would say, to kind of achieving Porsche factory driver. It's where Porsche are going to offer you a little bit of help financially, but mainly outside of racing. So off the track. They're going to try and help you secure drives, give you the guidance, and put you on the pathway you need to become a Porsche factory driver eventually. So I've been racing with Porsche and Porsche series now this will be my 4th year in the cars. So I've obviously been with them a little while and had some good success with them this year and last year and even in the one make Porsche series. So it's good to be finally recognized for that and them to bring me on board. I believe there'll be 2 of us. There'll be myself, and I don't actually know who the other one is. That's what's kind of been in the past. They have 2 a year. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's kind of them kind of taking you under your wing and saying, okay, you've proven yourself well so far, so you just keep doing the right things and we'll help you get there.
Oh, fantastic. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You've given us lots of gold today for up-and-coming races, so I appreciate that. What's one piece of advice you wish you had when you started out that you'd share with young drivers looking to make it in motorsports?
You get a lot of advice growing up for sure. When you're that young, people always give you words of wisdom and things that are helpful. And I wish I wrote a book about that because I'd have so much stuff that people told me that is so useful.
Yeah.
But the one when I think about that stands out for me, and one that I wasn't really told when I was young, but just I've briefed on it over the course of the podcast so far, but it's just be yourself. Like people want to see the real you. You know, it's important to do that, and like I attribute that to where I am at the moment. Is just I was just being myself. I was just being honest and being who you are. You just just a kind of a kid from Australia, just trying to do his best, and that's what people want to see. They want to see the real you, and they want to see how much you want it and how much you want to be there. So that's that. To be honest, for kids that are trying to start in karting, just started in cars, like you don't need to know where you want to be. A lot of people always told me growing up, they're like, you need to have a goal and you need to put the steps in for that goal. And that's kind of true to a point, but your goal shifts and changes, and it's going to change and shift yearly, maybe if not monthly or daily sort of thing, what you want, right? And when you're 7, 8, 10, 16 even, I didn't even know what I wanted to do till I was probably 18, right? So it's just cool. Okay, you want to be a professional race car driver? That's great, but you don't need to have an exact goal in mind, sort of thing. You can kind of. It's always good to have something to shoot for sure, but you can change it and weave in with the ebbs and flows of how it goes. So that's an important part. Is just have a goal for sure, but it's not Bible. It's not set in stone. You can kind of change it and do it as you go. So pick what you want to pick, something you think you'd want to do, and just work at it. Be yourself and enjoy it. I wish I enjoyed it a lot more when I was younger. Every class you step into, you put a whole lot of pressure on yourself, and that comes back to the mental side of it. The amount of pressure that you put on your own shoulders is more than anyone else in the world could ever put on you. It's just how much pressure you put on yourself to compete and perform. And don't do that. Like, you want to have a little bit of pressure on yourself because that's what strives you to do well and be good, but enjoy it. Like, I wish I enjoyed, if I look back in my karting days, it was all like hustle bustle. I need to win this. I need to win that. I need to be the best because that's going to make the difference. It doesn't really. It doesn't, whether you win that race, that state championship, even that national championship, that really is not going to change anything that's going to happen to you in the future, sort of thing. So really just enjoy it while you can and just build it up, because like it is with any professional sport, age is your enemy. So it's super important to just, it's not going to go on forever. So enjoy it while you can, because I always look back at it now. I'm like, damn, I wish I enjoyed that more, because like now the pressure really is on at the moment, like to perform. Like I do have to perform. I can enjoy it for sure, but how much you have to perform it can very easily encroach on that. And you end up with a thing where you're like, it's almost like a burden. So it's very important to love that. And that's the biggest thing for me. I recognize that. And now you just love it more than ever. Of course, the pressure's there, but you would learn to embrace the pressure and enjoy every single moment of it. And that's important for sure.
You love the pressure.
Correct. The pressure is what drives you. It's good.
Keeps you humble as well. Now, Tom, where can our listeners follow your journey and stay up to date on your racing?
As we briefed on earlier, I have my Instagram, Facebook page. You can follow at. So my Instagram's Tom_Sargent47, and then on Facebook is just Tom Sargent. You can follow that. That's also always really good. And then you can follow the series I'm doing. So the IMSA series, which is exactly how it sounds, IMSA in America, and then the GT World Challenge series. So as well, you can follow on any of their social media stuff. That'll show a little bit of me and obviously a lot of the series. So they're always good ways to follow. I know it's a little bit hard for people back home to watch live races because of the time zone, but hey, I've got a 12-hour race coming up soon. So some of it's going to be in your daytime. So I'm sure anyone listening would be able to watch that at some point.
Where do they watch it? Is it KO or?
No. So none of my stuff's on KO. It's all on YouTube. Everything's on YouTube. If not, you can go to the series' website, and it's all on the series' website as well. But YouTube's an easy one to go to.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much again for your time today. I really appreciate catching up about your journey in the US. It is very inspiring. And thank you for all of the information you've given it for the up-and-coming race car drivers.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. Like you mentioned, it's been a while coming, so it's good to get that done. And then obviously, we'll have to do another one soon again. Obviously, when a little bit more time passes, and see what else has been happening. Yeah,
hopefully you'll get that co-drive for the Bathurst 1000 in 2025.
If you put in a good word for me, that always helps.
All right, as I said, our season kicking off soon, so we'll be back at the racetracks. If the rain stays away, I'll be there.
Yeah, correct. That's soon. Yeah, that's for sure. It's coming up very soon.
Next week. All right, well, thank you again, and all the best for 2025.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, team, and that's a wrap for another episode of the Motorsport Coaching Podcast. I hope you found it valuable and picked up some insights to help you on your motorsport journey. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love for you to subscribe on your preferred listening platform, leave a review, and share it with fellow motorsport athletes. Don't forget to follow Motivate Training on social media for even more tips and resources. However, if you'd like to take things further and work with Motivate, race over to motivatetraining.com.au and learn more about our Drivers Toolkit, the Motor Sponsorship Club, Accelerator Coaching, and of course our Do It For You management program. All of these programs are designed to help you build your brand, secure sponsorship, and grow your career. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.